Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Now, Muslims have watched this PBD debate, and by and large, the Muslims are very happy. However, there is something that was said in the debate, something that was covered in the debate that nobody seems to have commented about. And I want to ask the question, does Patrick think that the Muslims are naive? And is it the case that he is being used by the Republicans to woo the Muslims to vote for the Republicans in the forthcoming elections? Watch this.
So here's one part that's confusing to me. About 3/4 of people, of Muslims, voted for Hillary Clinton when she ran for office. About 3/4. This is not too long ago they voted for her. That's Muslims, right? Today, 74% of Muslims vote Democratic. Because this is an area where I feel like, Muslims and Christians can actually be unified in certain areas. And if we do, it's going to be a formidable opponent to go up against. I'm sure they're not going to like this. Talk to a lot of Muslims. The values and the way they raise their kids and their families, I don't see any of it that would match much of what the left is presenting. Why do so many Muslims vote Democratic?
Now, him asking for the Muslims and the Christians to unite as if we have a common enemy is a common theme that I've noticed. And I want you to watch this next clip where they make the same point, trying to make this point that the Muslims and Christians have a common enemy, and also the fact that appealing to the family values of the Muslims to stand against LGBT. Watch this next clip.
There is a seismic shift happening within the Republican Party right now. The GOP seems to be trying to use the debate over transgender rights to win over conservative Muslim Americans. Or as the host of this show so pithily pointed out in a tweet last week, quote, basically in 2016, Republicans tried to get LGBT votes by demonizing Muslims, and this time around they're trying to get Muslim votes by demonizing LGBT people. Take, for example, Laura Ingraham. Here's a taste of her radio show over the last few years.
She's a proper Islamophobe.
We don't have waves of refugees from predominantly Christian countries who come in and then proceed to try to blow us up. But we cannot be the warehouse of all these Muslim people coming from these far-flung lands. You are not going to come into this country and destroy what's good about America. I'm telling you, we have got to stop this madness.
Now notice.
And here's that same host earlier this month showcasing a Muslim parent from Maryland whose organization wants school kids to be able to opt out from reading books with LGBTQ themes.
Us Catholics and other Christians, other people of faith have been waiting for the Muslims to step up on this issue and so many others.
Our vision is to bring together people of all faiths.
All faiths, which I love.
So now these people who hate the Muslims are trying to woo the Muslims and trying to make out that we're all friends and we're on the same side and we've got the same enemy. So the right wing are trying to woo the Muslims to fight the liberal LGBTQ agenda, and ironically, the left wing are trying to woo the Muslims to fight the liberal economic agenda. Now, the enemy the right wing is fighting holds the same liberal creed as the left wing. So the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, the left and the right wing, both believe in the same creed. They both believe in the same creed. And Patrick seems to think that upholding Christian values is a way of countering this, and upholding into Islamic values is a way of countering this. Yes, holding on to Islamic values is a way of countering this, but holding on to Christian values is not a way of countering this. Because the Muslims have a consistent argument against the liberal secular values, the Christians don't. Christianity changes with the times. And as you saw in the debate, the two people who are representing Christianity, actually they weren't representing Christianity, they were actually arguing on the basis of liberal secular values. So Rashid, the Murtad, actually made the comment in the debate that I want to live by values that gives me the freedom to change my religion and for me to believe in whatever religion I want. That's not a Christian value, that's the liberal secular value. And liberal secular values is not just defines the American politics, it also has colored and defined the Christian religion. So Politics and religion in America and in the West, in the West, is colored by liberal secular values, because the liberal secular creed is that which dominates in the West and colors everything that they have. Christianity does not have a system. Christianity does not have a solution for the social problems that we are facing, and for the economic problems we are facing, and also for the political problems that we are facing. Both the Democratic and the Republican parties believe in the same creed. And it doesn't matter which party gets into power. They will spread the liberal secular values across the world. And we see this in the Muslim world through the NGOs, through the American embassies, and through all sorts, through their corporate companies. They are pushing the liberal secular agenda in the Muslim world and even in the non-Muslim world. They believe in this, and they want the rest of the world to believe in it. And we Muslims are being wooed to get a party into power who is going to follow the same liberal secular agenda. Now, remember this. In 2000, when George Bush won the presidential election, they were wooing the Muslims, and they got Muslims, they got leaders from the Muslim community almost saying that it was an obligation to vote for the Republican Party because their values are close to our values. Fast forward a few years, after they bombed Iraq and Afghanistan into the Stone Age, suddenly these same people were saying, no, it is actually an obligation to vote for the Democratic Party because their values are closer to our values. Fast forward a few more years, and now with the woke liberal agenda affecting the Muslims, now we are getting the same people in America from the Muslim community saying, oh no, it's obligation for us to vote for the Republican Party because their values are closer to ours. So recently, you might have seen this Navigating Differences document where many of the imams who had jumped into bed with the liberal, secular, left-wing, political, woke agenda bandwagon, now suddenly they've all jumped off it, issued this Navigating Differences, making a clear point that homosexuality is a sin and there is a red line, and as Muslims we cannot accept it, and we cannot accept same-sex marriage, even though just before that some of these people were fighting for their political rights to do so. So it seems that there is something fishy going on in America, whereby these people have cottoned on and understood that for us to preserve ourselves, we need to now jump onto the Republican right-wing bandwagon in the forthcoming election. Now the world is suffering from liberalism, right? And the right wing and the left wing, it belongs to the same system. The right wing and the left wing belongs to the same bird. And that system is propagating this around the world. And that is what the problem is. The problem is liberal secular values. And you have to be a special kind of stupid to think that voting for the Democratic Party or for the Republican Party is somehow going to further the cause of Islam in America or even globally. It's not. It's naive and it's silly and it's stupid. We have our own agenda. We have our own deen. We have a system and a creed. Christianity does not have a creed that makes sense, and it has no system. As you saw in the debate, the Christians themselves have thrown Christianity under the bus by saying that we don't have any rules. The New Testament abrogates all the Old Testament. So all the old rules that the Bible brought, we don't believe in anything. So they themselves have said that Christianity does not have a system. You can forget economic system, political system, social system. They have no rules. And Christianity is like is plasticine. It just adapts and changes to fit in with whatever the changing times are. Christianity doesn't bring about change. It is affected by change. It is our duty as Muslims who believe in Islam. We have a creed, we have a rational creed, and we have a system, and we have a system that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent in order to protect mankind from the ills like this ill of liberalism. So it is our duty not to jump into bed with the right wing or the left wing, but for the Muslims to have their own independent political agenda and tell the world that the liberal secular God that you worship is not worthy of worship, not worthy of worshipping, and only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone is worthy of worship, and you should submit to Islam, and you should not be submitting yourselves to liberal secular values. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد والحمد لله رب العالمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.